Welcome to episode 118 of the Epilogue Lady podcast. My name is Bente and I'm coming to you from Vesterålen, northern Norway, where I live with my husband, my oldest son and 3 cats. You can find me on Instagram as Arctic Crafts, on Facebook as Arctic Crafts by Bente, and on Ravelry as Arctic Crafts 65. There is also a group on Ravelry for this podcast where you can participate in make-along and the occasional giveaway. And I have a Ko-fi page where you can support me and the podcast. As you can tell, I have a different background. Again, I've been chasing the light around the living room and I decided this works because the light is a bit diffused in through the curtains. I'm going to change out the curtains this week for my summer ones, so that might change the lighting situation altogether. We have a sunny day and we've had a break in our spring. We had some winter again with snow and cold temperatures, but maybe we're back on track now. It's April, so you can always hope. I'm sort of rusty, I guess, because it feels like it's been forever since the last time I recorded, and you have to excuse me for fiddling around with my hair all the time. I'm not used to it being this long. Hopefully I get used to it soon. I feel like it's falling into my face all the time, but I can put it behind my ears now, so it's a bit better. It's only we're on a Tuesday again because yesterday my youngest son left and my oldest son came back. So now we're back to normal and my husband and my oldest son are at work today. So I have the house to myself and it makes it so much easier to record. My youngest son is coming back for almost 2 weeks. At the end of April, the start of May. I'm going to, if it messes up my podcast schedule too much, I might go back to the bedroom for one podcast recording because May 1st, the tea time make-along starts, so I should do a podcast around that time. We'll see what happens. If you follow me on Instagram, you get notified when I post new things on YouTube. Or you can of course subscribe on YouTube. Then you also get notified on YouTube that I have posted a new video. So that was the chit chat at the beginning. Maybe I should get started with the stuff I'm actually going to talk about. First of all, I drew a winner for the Fluff to Stuff Mow last night. And the winner is Anja, and she's from Norway. And she's getting some fiber from Ulvey. And the next drawing will be at the end of June, because I'm doing quarterly drawings. Now, the first drawing, I just picked a winner at random from the FO thread, because I'm not expecting you to have a finished project this early. So I didn't filter out those who didn't have finished objects this time. Next time I might be doing that, because then you have had 6 months. So you should be able to have something to show for it. Depending on how many finished objects are in the thread, I might do the same I did now. But maybe be a bit more strict about how much you actually had done before I drew the winner. I also drew a winner for the Shop the Stash make-along on Instagram that I'm hosting with Liz and Sue from Distant Stitches and Alex from My Yarny Corner. And I drew a winner on that one as well on Instagram, and I've notified her on Instagram. So that's the admin bit. And as I said, May 1st, the tea time make-along starts, and that's the official beginning for the make-alongs for the year. Because of course I have the year-long Fluff to Stuff make-along this year. Hashtag Fluff to Stuff Mal 2024, by the way. But the tea time make-along starts May 1st, and I'm letting you know now because you can cast on and start your project, because whips are allowed as long as you have more than 50% left May 1st. So you can start now to be ahead of the game, so to speak. Because I realized that 2 months may be a bit too short for some of you, so you can start now. And after that I have the Arctic Summer of Socks, and after that I have the Spooky Mal, and then we start the Grinch Mal again. So from now on until the end of the year, it's back-to-back make-alongs. And now let's talk knitting and spinning, of course. The Ranunculus I showed you last time, I was on the sleeves, is finished. And this is sort of my first entry into the Fluff to Stuff make-along. This is made from my Advent spin from last year. I think it was a total of 200 to 250 grams of fiber, and then I spun up the same amount in Polworth. The Advent calendar was Polworth, and I spun up, I dyed up fiber in a purple in Polworth, and then applied them together. And I've worn this a lot already. It's starting to get a bit warm because it's a bit, it's really warm. So I might have to put it in the wardrobe for the season. And now the sun is of course moving into the shot. As long as it stays on top of my head, it will work, hopefully. I might have to move. Anyways, so that was my FO. I have some finished spinning as well. I'll show you that later. And now I get so preoccupied with the viewfinder because I want to see where that sunlight hits. But again, as long as it hits on the top of my head, you'll just have to live with it, because as I said, I've been chasing the light around the living room, and I finally found a place that works. So as long as it's not hitting me in the eyes, we'll just have to live with it. Isn't it strange? I've been complaining about the weather all winter, and when the sun comes back, it's a nuisance. As I said, I have finished spinning. I'll show you that later. Let's see about my knitting projects. I have a spinning project as well. I'm going to show you some of it. I told you as soon as I was finished with the Ranunculus, I was going to cast on stripes with my Jacob, and I did, and this is how far I've gotten. I'm showing you the back. This is the front. And this is all Jacob. This color is Cinnamon Toast. The fiber was dyed by me, and this is natural color Jacob. And I bought this fiber from a Norwegian fiber seller, Spinnvilt. That's also where I bought my spinning wheel. And I also bought myself an Ashford Niddy Noddy from them now, because I realized I made one with plastic piping that I used before, and the benefit was that I could soak the yarn on the Niddy Noddy, because that's what I did to begin with. But I realized, since I now started to use the Niddy Noddy first, then I take the skein off the Niddy Noddy, and then I soak the yarn, I realized I don't need a waterproof Niddy Noddy anymore. So I bought myself a wooden one from Ashford, and it's real easy to calculate yardage because it's 1.5 meters. The one I made myself is 1.6. This is what the yarn looks like in the ball. And again, this is my colorway Cinnamon Toast dyed on fiber. So that's my stripes. And this has been put away for the time being because it's a long-sleeved 100% woolen sweater and it's really hot to work on and it's going to be too warm to wear. So I might hibernate it until the fall because I want to cast on my tea for the tea time make-along, and I'm spinning a lot, so I'm not sure how many sweater projects I can have on the go at the same time. I also have a different sweater that I'm going to hibernate for the summer, and I'm going to sort of put them away somewhere so I don't see them all the time and feel guilty, because it's almost tea season, and as in T-E-E, not T-E-A. So I want to start working on short sleeved sweaters. And I have that hot pink Hue Loco that my husband got me for Christmas that I want to make into a tee. And I'm thinking about doing the everyday tee by Twin Stitches Design, because I've done that before and I love the shape of that one. So I think I'm going to make another one of those. I was also thinking one color rocket tee because I like the V-neck, but I think I want something a bit more fitted. I might do a rocket tee anyway, and I'm going to show you the yarn when I show you my finished spinning. So that's my stripes. I have one more knitting project on the needles, and these are socks for my son. And I'm knitting these 2 at a time. I just split a skein of hand-dyed yarn into 2, and then I started both of the socks at the same time. The benefit of doing this 2 at a time is that when you're finished, you're finished. I don't have to knit a second sock, if you know what I mean. It takes the same amount of time, of course, because you're still knitting 2 socks, but you finish both socks at the same time. And I don't have to work that much longer because he likes his socks a bit short in the leg. So this might be, I'm almost at the ribbing, I think. And I of course have plenty of yarn left. So this might end up like as shorties for myself, or I might put them in my blanket. We'll see what I come up with. So that's my second knitting whip. And now I'm going to show you my spinning whip, and the only thing I can show you at the moment are prepped fiber, because I'm almost finished, and this is prepped fiber. This is how I do it. I split all the yarn up, all the fiber up into roving that I then spin. And this is from Stulen Strick. And this is how much I have left. So I could have finished the bobbin and showed you the bobbin, of course, but I didn't. So I'm almost finished with the bobbin, and I bought that to ply it with the natural colored alpaca that Leslie gave me when we met in Lewis. And I'm going to ply, this is Corriedale, and I'm going to ply it with natural colored alpaca, and hopefully I'm going to end up with some really nice yarn. The alpaca isn't, first of all, I'm not used to fiber coming in big chunks, if you know what I mean. It's not like roving or a braid or anything, it's just a big chunk of fiber. And Leslie said it was very easy for it to become really, really thin, and she wasn't kidding. So I'm trying to spin the Corriedale really thin as well, so it won't be too big of a difference when I apply them. And so now I'm going to keep going on the alpaca, because I have more things I would like to spin, and I actually put the alpaca away to spin the Corriedale, and I shouldn't have done that, because I should have powered on and worked through the alpaca. I think it was because it was a bit more difficult, but I just have to finish the alpaca so I can finish the yarn and move on to a different project. That was my whips, and now we can talk about more about spinning, because I don't have a lot of knitting to talk about today either. I have lots of finished spinning. I think I've maybe shown you some of these before, but now it's finished. I'll have the yardage because I've soaked it and measured it. And this is my hot pink Corriedale that I dyed myself, and it's 14 wraps per inch, and I have 377 meters here. So I have almost enough for a 1 skein shawl, but I'm going to find myself a pattern where you can work until you finish your yarn and then stop. Hohi Locatelli just published another 1 skein wonder, but that needs more yarn than this, so I have to use something else for that. But anyway, this is now finished and I have the yardage. And I also have the yardage for this. This is some Polworth dyed by me. I dyed this for Sue, that I was going to spin it and then send it to her, and this is Polworth 100%, and it's 16 wraps per inch and 320 meters. I tried to do a high twist on this, and it's thinner than my normal, but then Polworth is easier to spin thin than Corriedale for some reason. I think it's because the Corriedale is more woolly than the Polworth, so it's easier to get a thin yarn, and that makes it, of course, more efficient when it comes to yardage as well. I have 320 meters here, so hopefully Sue can think of something to use this for. Then of course she can enter the Fluff the Stuff. As I've told you, you can use yarn spun by somebody else as long as it's hand spun. So that's that. And then I have the coastal colors that I bought in Unravel. And I finished all of that fiber. I started with this. These are 2 different colorways that I supplied together, and this one is 14 wraps per inch, this one is 195 meters, and this one is 300 meters. So here I have enough for a 1 skein shawl. So I might do a 1 skein shawl with either of these. So this is one colorway, and the other colorway looks like this. I took the 2 darkest and the 2 lightest colorways and applied them together to get one dark and one light. And this is, as I said, Coastal Colors, 15 wraps per inch. This is 343 meters, and this is 147 meters. And I mentioned a rocket tee earlier, and this is what I was considering doing a rocket tee with, because I have enough for a rocket with these. But I think the colors might be too similar. It might give a nice effect as well, of course, especially if I do thinner stripes. Or I might start with the light one at top and then fade into the black, darker one and do the sleeves in the lightest one. I might do that as well. So I'm thinking about using those 2 for a rocket tee. And going from the light into the dark might also work, but I like the striped look. And it's not too little contrast. You're going to see the stripes if I use them. Tell me in the comments, do you think this will work as stripes? Because I've knit several rocket tees, and I love the construction and I love the way they feel when you have them on. I knit one in hand-dyed Arctic Crafts yarn last year, and I wore that a lot. I also knit one with alpaca, the same color alpaca, Suri silk alpaca, and merino, but that's too warm to wear actually, so I haven't worn that one. The other one is 100% merino, much easier to wear. And I have two leftovers here. That's one, I did an Andean bracelet, and this is what's left over with only the lightest color. And this is apply with one of the darks and one of the lights. So these are the leftovers. And this one I know is going into my blanket. This one I'm not sure, but probably also my blanket. So that's my finished spinning, and as I said, I have some, I'll put in a picture here of what the stool and stick, the orange fiber, looks like on the wheel. And I bought one more braid from Stool and Stick because I wanted to try. I haven't bought from him before. This is the other braid I bought. And this I'm actually considering applying with undyed to get a pastel-y look, because these colors are sort of pastel. So making it even more pastel, I'm going to apply this with undyed, I think. And this is also Corriedale. So that's what I have for spinning and knitting, and I haven't done any crochet. And the sunlight is killing me. I can't be all... So you just have to live with the sunlight on top of my head. I keep nagging about the sunlight. I haven't got a lot of other stuff happening when it comes to crafting, because it's been Easter in the Easter holidays, and the only thing I've been doing when it comes to crafting is I've been spinning. My youngest son thinks the spinning is fascinating, by the way. And I've been knitting on my son's socks, and that's what I've been doing during Easter. Now that I have the house to myself all day again, except for Tuesdays and Thursdays when I'm working, of course. I can't do a lot of spinning when I'm at work. But I'm going to go through do a lot of spinning, I think. Knitting is more for when I'm on the couch in the evenings watching and streaming stuff and watching Critical Role. That's when I do a lot of knitting. Spinning is sort of a daytime activity. And thankfully we have got air conditioning now, because spinning is not exactly a cool activity. It's cool, but it's not cool, if you know what I mean. So I'm very, very pleased about the air conditioning, and I'm right below it now. And I'm also right below it, can't speak today. So right below it when I spin. So this might be a short one again, because nothing exciting happened during Easter. I haven't got any stuff arriving in the mail either, because I'm working through the fiber that I have already in stash. I'm going to dye some of it, because most of the fiber I have in stash is undyed, different breeds, because I wanted to try a lot of different breeds. And I have some Teeswater, 500 grams of Teeswater, and I want to dye that lime green. Yes, I know. I'm going to dye it my colorway Guacamole. So if you've seen that, you know what I mean. It's an avocado green, but slightly more neon. And I'm going to dye 500 grams of Teeswater in that colorway. And hopefully it's enough for a tee at least. I know it's not enough for an entire sweater. I could dye up something else and make it stranded, of course, but I think I'm just going to dye the 500 grams lime green and then spin it up and see how much I have. And that's it, I think. I'm going to dye some more fiber, of course, but I have no idea what colors I'm going to dye. I have the Target from Sue that I have 1.5 kilos, so I'm thinking 2 sweater quantities, maybe, because it's not enough for 3. So I think I just have to split it into 2 and dye it 2 different colors. So I have 2 sweater quantities of handspun. But that's sort of a bigger project, and I think I'm going to wait until the fall doing that, because it's a big spin and it's really hot in the summer to sit at the wheel. So I'm going to do some spinning this summer, but I'm not going to start a sweater spin. I'm probably going to do tinier bits, like just dyeing up more or less 100 grams, and then dye it and then spin it up and use it for prices. Either use the fiber for a price or spin it up and use the handspun for a price. We'll see. But that's what I'm planning when it comes to spinning in the summer. And I saw Andrea Mowry is doing a long draft, make long. I'm not going to try long draft yet, because it looks scary to me, having that long length of fiber. I'm afraid it's going to break. And again, I prefer working with worsted spun yarn afterwards. Things like the Jacob, you can't get it that smooth because of the properties of the fiber, of course, because Jacob is a really rustic fiber, so you can't get it that smooth. And I think merino is much more difficult to spin than, for example, Polwarth or Corriedale, and so that's why I'm testing out different kinds of fibers. The Target looks like it's easy to spin as well. The Target I got from Custom Woolen Mills has got a lot of vegetable matter and stuff in it, so I have to not sure if I'm going to do that before I dye it or while I'm spinning, because I find that while I'm spinning, when those come up, I just stop the wheel and pick them out and keep on going. And I find that that's actually an easier way for me to pick out stuff like that in the fiber than trying to find all of it before you start spinning. So that's what I'm doing. Maybe that's the wrong way of doing it, but it works for me. I think that's about it. I haven't even recorded for a half an hour yet. These have a tendency to get really short these days. That's because I'm not doing a lot of knitting. And the spinning is... I can't show you the spinning on the wheel because I don't want to remove the bobbin. But again, I put up a picture so you could see. So that's what I've been up to. I've been on Easter holiday, so I haven't done a lot of knitting or spinning. And now I'm going to stop babbling and maybe go for a walk. But at least I'm going to edit this, and then I'm going to try to find somewhere to sit next time where the sun doesn't hit me. That's not easy because we have a lot of windows in our living room, so it's really difficult for me to find a place to sit where the sun doesn't hit me. So I'm going to stop there before my camera overheats, and I'm going to try to look less into the viewfinder. But again, it's the sun. So next time I'll probably have a different background again. We'll see. But until then, I hope you have a really nice time, that you get a lot of spinning and or knitting done, and I'll see you again in 2 weeks. Bye bye!